Welcome to the latest episode of the B Movie Club. I'm your host Kevin. This week we'll be discussing the 1968 horror classic Rosemary's Baby, directed by Roman Polanski and starring Mia Farrow. For those of you joining us for the first time, each week on the B Movie Club we like to discuss certain guilty pleasures, forgotten classics, movies that are a little bit off the beaten path, if you will. You can contact me on our page on Facebook, Original B Movie Club. Don't forget to like it. Also, you can contact me through our YouTube page, Kevin D. And don't forget to subscribe. It's totally free. Also, you can tweet me on Twitter at KD9575. Please, spread the word. Tell a friend, won't you? Rosemary's Baby. In this movie, you got Rosemary Woodhouse, played by Mia Farrow, and her husband, Guy Woodhouse, played by John Cassavetes. He is an aspiring actor. She's a housewife. They're moving into a new apartment that has recently become available. It's beautiful. It's an old building called the Bramford. And for whatever reason, they can afford it. In New York, typically, apartments such as this are very expensive, but for some reason they're able to afford it. Again, he's not a successful actor as of yet. He's an aspiring actor. I mean, I guess he's got a few commercial things under his belt, but he's by no means a huge success as of yet. So they move in, and they meet this noisy couple next door, the Cassavetes, who are an old couple, but seem very, very interested in the Woodhouses. One thing leads to another. They decide to have dinner with this old, kind of bothersome couple. And, the husband seems to strike up a friendship with this couple. Rosemary's not too sure. They're kind of peculiar, come on. And really she can't understand why the husband's so interested. Previously, this old couple had a younger woman living with them, and under kind of bizarre circumstances, the woman had committed suicide. So there's a lot of intrigue going on. We don't know what the story is. So, weird couple next door. Then the husband starts acting strangely. He was up for a part on some big Broadway production. He doesn't get it. But after he gets a little closer with the old couple, suddenly that actor the actor who won the part, he goes blind, so he can't do the role anymore. So Guy, as their second choice, gets it, so now things seem to be turning around for him. Why? We don't know what the story is. Now he immediately decides, hey, let's have a baby. We're a young couple, let's do it. So there's all sorts of things going on. At night of the night that they're going to, conceive, if you will, she's having weird visions at night. We start to think something else is going on. There's a lot of chanting. She sees her husband with like all the old people from the Bramford standing around the bed. Then a scary devil person is actually the one in bed with her. I don't want to spoil everything. Okay? I don't want to give it all away. There's a lot of things going on here. A lot of crazy old people in this movie. A lot of suspected devil worship. So, it has that going for it, which is nice. So, Rosemary's Baby. Before I tell you all the stuff behind the scenes, let's cut to my sister Erin, who has proclaimed that Rosemary's Baby is one of her favorite movies of all. So let's go to her and get her take on Rosemary's Baby.
Hey! Rosemary's Baby is one of my all-time favorite movies. It's a wonder that I don't own it. Every Halloween, I set my DVR so I could watch it over and over again. It's fabulous. And that apartment they move into is gorgeous. It makes you think you can move to New York and be a semi-employed actor and have an apartment bigger than my house. Very nice. A little trivia, of course, is that building is the Dakota. And that's where John Lennon lived when he was murdered, right in the front. So maybe that kind of ties in. There's rumors that there's a curse with Rosemary's Baby. So, but let me get back to the movie. We'll talk about the curse a little while later. The movie's fabulous. It's creepy. I mean, Mia Farrow, whatever. Anybody could have played that role. She was kind of annoying. I'd never be her friend. But Ruth Gordon is incredible in this film. You know what? I would live next door to Ruth Gordon if it involved me living in that giant apartment. Hollywood and TV lie to us about what we could actually afford if we lived in Manhattan. This movie, a semi-employed actor has basically a mansion. And of course, Friends, waitresses apparently have giant apartments too in Manhattan. So that's awesome. House of Lies, people, House of Lies. This is clearly the best movie that Mia Farrow ever did. I mean, most of her roles are as Woody Allen's girlfriend, let's face that. I was going to say that this was the best Roman Polanski directed movie, but then I remembered Chinatown, and I do love Chinatown, where Roman Polanski does his little cameo. He takes that knife in Jack Nicholson's nose and slices it out. But I would say this is one of the top Roman Polanski movies. Okay. I love this movie. All through my life, ever since I've seen this, I always find little crazy Rosemary Baby's amulets. This is actually my second Rosemary Baby amulet. The first one I got at the Limited, but that one actually looked really like the amulet that Ruth Gordon gives Mia Farrow with the tannis root. This one, though, actually opens up, and you can actually put things into it. Ooh, so this may be the true Rosemary's Baby amulet. Let me see. Oh yes, a strong smell of tannis, I believe. This movie is so good. Roger Ebert gave it a 4 out of 4 stars. Entertainment Weekly put it on the top 10 of all horror movies of all time. It's just creepy and interesting. Crazy Charles Grodin is in it. William Castle from old B-movie days does a cameo. When Mia Farrow gets a phone call or calls the gentleman who went blind so her husband could get that role, that's Tony Curtis on the phone. They didn't tell her that, so she was all confused because it sounded so very, very familiar. Now let's just skip talking about the whole movie because Kevin's going to clearly cover that. Let's just talk about the good stuff. Let's talk about the curse of Rosemary's Baby. Just generally bad things that happened to the people who were involved. The composer had like embolism or a clot or something. William Castle had some kind of kidney problem, or he was shouting out something about Rosemary. It was filmed at the Dakota, which if you want to visit is 1 West 72nd Street in Central Park West, still there. Former home of John Lennon and Yoko Ono. He was shot out in front of there. And of course, that brings us to the Beatles, which kind of brings us to Charles Manson, which of course brings us to Sharon Tate and then back to Roman Polanski. As you know, Sharon Tate was Roman Polanski's wife, 8 months pregnant when she was murdered by the Manson followers. What I would tell someone who hasn't seen Rosemary's Baby is it is just an interesting ride, because it starts off kind of like, oh no, that can't be right. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh snap. The best part, of course, is when Mia Farrow's digging into that raw liver, which she really ate too. Nasty.
Thank you, Aaron. Aaron joined us through the magic of Skype. If you have any interest on being on our show through Skype, please let me know and we can work it out. Okay, homie? So, Rosemary's Baby. Originally, it was a novel written by Ira Levin. Originally, it was a novel written by Ira Levin, who had also written such books as The Stepford Wives, The Boys from Brazil, things like that. All of these kind of thrillers. He also wrote the stage play Death Trap. One theme that seems to be a common occurrence in his books is where it's like the central character is often the wife. The protagonist is often the wife. And her husband often has some kind of skeevy dealings, like you can't trust your own husband kind of thing. I read Rosemary's Baby, great book. I actually read the sequel that came out like literally 25 years later, Son of Rosemary. Not quite as good, if you ask me. Anyway, when the original book, Rosemary's Baby, came out, people who saw it were so interested in doing it. So Robert Evans, who's a big producer, Hollywood type, and William Castle, who was a famous director and producer of B movies, horror movies, they got this thing and they were like, let's do this. So they sent the script to Roman Polanski, who at the time was a famous European filmmaker, and they wanted to try to entice him to come over. And they actually had known he was kind of a skiing enthusiast, so they actually sent him a script for a skiing movie, but included the Rosemary's Baby outline in there as well. And Polanski looked at both and came back and said, you know what, it's the Rosemary's Baby thing is what I'd really be more interested in doing, which was Robert Evans' plan all along. So Polanski immediately got into it, was ready to do it. He handled basically every aspect of it. He adapted the novel. It's very, very true to the novel. I mean, rumor has it that he just didn't know that he could take as much artistic license as he wanted to. So he just basically adapted it almost word for word. So much so that at one point there's a line about a guy saying, I just bought that shirt from the New Yorker magazine, and he called up Ira Levin, the original novelist, and said, which issue of the New Yorker had that shirt in, because I want to get the exact shirt. And Ira Levin just like, I made it up. So he was trying to be very true to it. Originally he wanted to cast kind of a buxom girl next door type to play Rosemary. Somebody like Sharon Tate, for example, who soon became his wife. So he just went ahead and decided to cast Mia Farrow, despite the fact that she was kind of the opposite physical type that he was looking for. And the fact that she really wasn't that big of a star. She was on a TV show called Peyton Place. But she gained some notoriety recently because she'd married Frank Sinatra, which was kind of a surprise, even though he was much, much older than her. She read, she was good. Now they needed to cast some of the old creepy characters, and they really went out of their way to hire famous actors from like a long time ago. Ralph Bellamy, who you might remember was in Trading Places, among other things. Ruth Gordon played Minnie Cassavetes. You might remember her. She was in Harold and Maude, that freaky show, which might be a movie we do in the future. She was cast as Minnie Cassavetes, so there's a lot of good casting decisions going on here. So, as we all know, Frank Sinatra decided to divorce Mia Farrow because he didn't want her working on this movie. He wanted her to stay at home. He wanted her to work on his movie, something along those lines. And he actually had her served with divorce papers on the set. And she burst into tears, broke down on set in front of the entire cast and crew. Roman Polanski was like, we're going to have to close down production for today. You know what? Take the day off, take the week off. We're going to shoot scenes that don't have you over the next couple of days, give you some time to get back on your feet. And she said, no, we're not doing that. We're going to go ahead. Nothing has changed. We're going to proceed with this. And they actually filmed the scene where in the movie she's breaking down in the kitchen with her friends who were all concerned because Rosemary's lost all this weight and stuff like that. So it helped her performance, I guess, right? As for Guy Woodhouse, John Cassavetes was really not their first role. You remember him using The Dirty Dozen, things like that. They originally wanted Robert Redford. He passed. They thought about Jack Nicholson, but then they were like, but Jack, as we all know, Jack is kind of a sinister-looking guy anyway, and they wanted somebody a little less sinister-looking. Although, in my opinion, John Cassavetes is quite sinister-looking as well. What are you going to do? Contrary to popular belief, famous Satanist Anton LaVey did not assist in this movie at all. There's also a rumor out there that Alfred Hitchcock was originally going to direct this. They never contacted him to direct it at all. That's another rumor. This movie was a huge success. It only cost about $3 million to make it. It made $30 million in the box office. Critically acclaimed. Won Academy Awards. Ruth Gordon, who played Minnie, won an Academy Award for her performance. Mia Farrow was nominated for Golden Globes. Best Adapted Screenplay was nominated for the Academy Award. It was very well received. In fact, it inspired a bunch of crazy Satan movies over the next couple of years. It also had a made-for-TV sequel starring Patty Duke, which was somebody else that the studio thought about hiring to play Rosemary. The made-for-TV sequel was a huge flop. The book, like I said, came out 25 years later. Received mixed reviews, but became a bestseller. So there's all sorts of things going on here. I enjoyed it a lot. It's definitely more of kind of a mood, creepy kind of thing, rather than, you know, jumping out of your seat, I'm terrified. For a Satan movie, you really don't see a whole lot of Satan. It's really much more about the old creepy characters. And you never actually see Rosemary's Baby. Okay, it's just kind of implied. They kind of suggest what it looks like. So it's something that even people who are a little squeamish about horror movies could sit through and enjoy. Obviously, there's no gore, there's no blood and guts, so that's not something you have to worry about. It's a great movie. Currently is 98% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, so it has that going for it. It is still streaming instantly on Netflix, so check it out if you have not already seen it. Send me your questions, comments, favorite scenes, favorite quotes, and I would love to hear your opinion on things. Next week, we're going to go back to the comedic genre for the 1995 comedy classic, Happy Gilmore, starring Adam Sandler. Personally, I'm not a huge Adam Sandler fan. He's had far too many misses, in my opinion, but Happy Gilmore is great. It is streaming instantly on Netflix, so rush out and see it. Send me any opinions you have about that movie. Maybe I'll talk about it on the show, and if you want to, maybe we could do it on the show through Skype. So spread the word. Don't forget to subscribe on our YouTube page, like our Facebook page, and please contact me on Twitter anytime you feel the need. Don't forget to let all your homies know. As you know, I end every episode with a totally out of context quote, and here it is. This is not a dream. This is really happening. Tried to say that with my crazy Mia Farrow voice, so there you have it. Interestingly enough, Rosemary's Baby, Mia Farrow herself has like 15 kids. Like so many of them are adopted, so I don't know if any of them are named Rosemary. That would be probably inappropriate. Anyway, thank you for joining us on the B Movie Club. Next week, Happy Gilmore. Be well.